Hello, this is Bronwyn Ailey, Local Food Systems and Small Farms Educator for University of Illinois Extension. And I am here at the Dixon Springs Ag Center, and I'm bringing you the second installment of the video diary I plan to create this season to keep stakeholders, growers, just folks in general that are interested in demonstration research projects being conducted at the high tunnels at the Dixon Springs Ag Center. So I'm bringing you this video post, and as we are doing social distancing, I am here by myself using my phone, so please pardon the shaky video. And I guess I'll give you an update. The first video was last Friday, and so today is April the 10th, and I'm going to just kind of briefly show you what we've already got in place and ready to go inside the tunnels. So this first, okay, so for the first thing that I want to talk about in our hydroponic tunnel are our strawberry vertical stacks, and you can see we have 15 stacks that are 4 buckets high. I guess you would count five if we count the Dutch bucket at the bottom. And so each of these stacks will hold 20 plants, and we're using an everbearing variety called Monterey. And as you can see, we have small green fruit that are already on these plants, and we also have open blooms. And this year we have decided to try some different substrate or media within the buckets, and so we are looking at a 50-50 perlite coconut coir blend. Then we have 100% cocoa coir, and we have just 100% perlite. And so we have 3 different media mixes in these stacks, and we're going to be taking yield data off of these to see if we notice any yield response in regard to substrate or media differences. And we're going to slowly pan over here, move down. You can see our solenoids. Because this is in a hydroponic system, we have a controller that is set to deliver water so many seconds every so many minutes for a certain number of hours a day. And you can see over here we have our fertilizer injector, and so we're using fertilizer is going in with the water every time it kicks on. And our fertilizer that we're using is Ultrasol, which is a water-soluble 3-15-28. And then we also have another, the second bucket contains calcium nitrate. And so we use that blend of fertilizer for all of the crops that we will grow in this tunnel. The other crops that we have out currently are a few different cherry tomatoes, and all of these tomatoes are going to be indeterminate. And you can see we have one plant per bucket, and we have five plants for each variety. And again, these are hooked up to the irrigation system with these point source emitters. When the water comes on, it will shoot out of this little the opening here on this stake, and we put it right at the base of the plant, and so it shoots the water right at the root system. And this, again, our substrate in this is perlite. And so you can see we have this row here and half of a row here. And the rest of this tunnel eventually will have cucumbers and some bell peppers and a lettuce table at the end. We hope to get up and running in the next week and a half. And so that's our update from the hydroponic tunnel. And now I've moved on to one of our second tunnel that has in-ground raised beds. Again, this tunnel is a 30 by 96 because we've wanted to have a little working room on both ends of the tunnel. Each of these beds are approximately 80 feet in length. And if you remember from last last week's video, I was setting out our replicated determinate tomato variety trial, and the plants have definitely grown since last week and are greening up. And you can see we have the two irrigation lines running on each bed, and I currently have the water on, and we'll try to come over here, and you can see the drip coming up through the emitters on the top of the blue line and running down. You can also see the pattern on the top of the soil where it's wetting up the ground. And today we set another trial, and this is a bell pepper project that we're working on, and this is a spacing study. And so we have one single variety of bell pepper down these two rows, but we're looking at spacing them at 12 inches, 18 inches, or 24 inches apart within the row. And in one bed we're looking at a single row of production, versus in the second bed here we have the twin rows. So each of these twin rows are either 24, the spacing between them is again 24, 18, or 12 inches apart. And you can see the drip lines running here as well. So we'll be excited to collect data off of both of these studies, the tomato and the bell pepper trials, in this tunnel. And you can kind of hear it running over here. We don't have irrigation going. We have irrigation going. We don't have the fertilizer injector hooked up on these plots yet, but we will get that soon once these plants have had a little bit more time to establish. They were watered in with a starter fertilizer. That's common practice whether you're in the tunnel or in the field, that once we set transplants, we like to water them in with a little starter fertilizer to help them, give them a little boost and help those root balls kind of adhere to the new home you just pluck them into. So, and for our final tunnel, in this tunnel we conducted our winter vegetable production in a high tunnel research. This is almost ready to conclude for this year, and we will put this in a second year. And in this project we were looking at lettuce, spinach, kale, and carrots, involving both bare ground and black plastic production, as well as covered and uncovered. And we had multiple planting dates. We had 3 planting dates for the lettuce, spinach, and kale. That was the first week of September, the first week of October, and the first week of November. For the carrots, we ended up having 7 planting dates. We started the first week of August, and they were planted the first week of each month, August through February. And at this point we have harvested the August, September, October, and November planted carrots. In the very back of the tunnel, the tall carrot tops, that would be the December carrots that will need to be harvested next. And then in the far corner we see January seeded carrots, and this last plot of carrots here would be what was seeded in February. We removed the remaining spinach and kale and lettuce plots. While you may see some remnants of a few of the plots, they are basically bolting, and those plots are spent. So we will be removing everything out of this tunnel soon, and we will be removing all of the black plastic and working these beds back up, and we will be planting a uniform crop of onions, radishes, and beets. Same density, the same 3 crops in each of the beds, and we will have that planted through the summer, so that when we're ready to start the year 2 of the winter project, we can just remove those crops off and get started with the next round. We do have a thermometer set up out here, for those that may be curious what the temperature could be inside the tunnel. So outside today, it's a very clear blue sky day. Although the temperatures are cool, I'm thinking it's around feels about 50, maybe 55 degrees. When the wind blows, it is pretty chilly. I like to wear a sweatshirt, make me feel comfortable outside. Inside the tunnel, though, we're running at about 82 degrees, and so sweatshirt weather is not necessary in the tunnel today. So we do have the sides vented. We've got them dropped down about a foot and a half, letting as much of the hot air out as we can. But as you can see, it's definitely warmed up in this tunnel.